Welcome to Fantastic Vision. Please subscribe us before you watch today's video. Before his visit to China, U.S. Commerce Secretary Raimondo threatened to impose more severe sanctions on Huawei if it continued to conduct research and development in high-tech fields. This also exposed the arrogance and unreasonableness of some people in the United States. However, Huawei did not engage in a war of words with it. Instead, it used its strength to fight back against the U.S. threat. During Raimondo's visit to China, Huawei directly put its latest model mate60 series mobile phones on the shelves without any press conference or trailer. This mobile phone equipped with Huawei's independently developed Kirin chip immediately caused a stir around the world. A lot of attention and discussion. Since 2019, the US government has openly suppressed and blocked Huawei. After 3 years, Huawei's mate60 series of mobile phones equipped with self-developed Chinese chips were directly put on the shelves for sale, catching the United States by surprise. After repeated disassembly and testing in the United States, Huawei's mate60 series mobile phones use the Kirin 9000S chip manufacturing process that they have never seen before. This means that the United States technology blockade against China has gone bankrupt, and Huawei is not overtaking in a corner. Instead, it successfully achieved lane change and overtaking, which also shows that China has made unprecedented progress in the research and development, design and manufacturing of global high-end chips. According to Yonhap news agency, the United States will indefinitely extend the immunity of South Korean chip manufacturers Samsung and SK Hynix from importing American chip equipment at their factories in China. In the context of the United States escalating its suppression of China's chip industry, the Biden administration has almost cut off the export of equipment needed to produce high-end chips to China, but this has also harmed the interests of American companies. As a result, U.S. companies asked the Biden administration to export to Korean companies, and the U.S. reluctantly agreed to grant a 1-year exemption to South Korea's Samsung and SK Hynix. Today, China has the ability to develop, design and produce high-end chips, and the technology used is significantly different from the West. To this end, the United States and South Korea have reached an agreement that the 2 Korean companies will be included in the updated verified end-user list of the United States, and will not need to apply for a license. To put it bluntly, the United States will allow the sale of chips to China, which means that the Biden administration may change its approach to containing China's technological development. In the past few years, the United States has coerced and induced global semiconductor industry giants, such as Samsung and TSMC, to set up factories in the United States. At the same time, the United States has also formed the so-called Four-Party Chip Alliance with China's Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan in an attempt to kick mainland China out of the semiconductor industry chain, thereby grabbing huge economic benefits through its monopoly on the semiconductor industry. However, China is the world's largest chip sales market, and the long-arm jurisdiction of the United States has caused the entire chip industry to suffer. Samsung, Qualcomm, and Intel are all facing survival difficulties. Some South Korean congressmen criticized the United States, saying that the Biden administration's blocking of Chinese companies' access to high-end chips and manufacturing equipment will only harm the interests of the United States and its partners, and force China to step up its efforts to make up for the shortcomings of the semiconductor industry. According to industry insiders, the rise of China's independent manufacturing of chips will be irreversible. When China's chip self-sufficiency rate is only 5%, a large part of the total global chip trade of $350 billion is sold to China, and all parties in the industry chain can make profits. In the past, China followed the principle of international division of labor, spent so much money to buy chips, and then provided cheap and high-quality new products to the world. But now the situation is different. Because of the attack by the United States, China must increase its self-sufficiency rate in chips. If China achieves half of its chip self-sufficiency rate, it means that the United States, South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan have lost a $150 billion market. If the self-sufficiency rate can reach 70%, it will be a $200 billion market. You must know that mainland China is the world's largest high-end chip consumer market. In the past, the United States and Japan made a lot of money. However, due to the US technology blockade against China, China continues to increase its self-sufficiency rate in chips. In the future, domestic chips will be invested in large-scale international markets. Therefore, the United States is preparing to allow South Korea to sell chips to China. The next step may be to dump mid to low-end chips into the Chinese market, thereby occupying the entire market at low prices, and the domestic chip market will be greatly squeezed. However, Huawei has successfully broken through the US technology blockade and achieved a lane change and overtaking. This means that after China's high-end chips are mass-produced, it is very likely that high-end chips will also be priced at cabbage prices. Of course, China cannot be blamed for this, because this is entirely forced by the US technological blockade. In fact, mobile phone chips are just the beginning of breaking through the US technology blockade. In the future, Huawei will still be far ahead in fields such as new energy vehicles and artificial intelligence. It is reported that the Kirin 9000S used in the mate60 series of mobile phones has reached the standard of 5-nanometer process technology, which has dealt a heavy blow to the United States' confidence in China's technology blockade. Huawei mobile phones create not only tangible assets, but also intangible assets that are immeasurable, because they have won the collective self-esteem of all Chinese people. Liu Lisha, a former captain of the Taiwan Navy, said frankly that I don't want others to give me Huawei mobile phones. I want to queue up to buy them, because it is the glory of the Chinese people. There is no doubt that Huawei has proven with practical actions that Chinese people are not afraid of ghosts or believe in evil, and no force can stop China's development and progress. Facing the strong suppression, blockade and containment of hegemonic countries, China's counterattack capabilities will only become stronger and stronger in the future. It's still the same sentence to strike iron, you need to be tough.